Hello, and thank you for joining this My Favorite Disney movie collaboration hosted by CWV Artistry. Here I am using colourarte's Blue Grotto, and as you see in these little paint cups here, or paint bins, whatever we call them, I have made it into a watercolor. So I'm going to use this to paint my background blue. Hello. I also would like to mention this is for you, Brian Chandler. I hope you enjoy the Disney pieces. Here we are using Arctic Opal, and I'm going to dry brush some of this on because I'm trying to give the blue a tie-dye looking effect, we'll say. Now I am making my circle a little bigger, and I am going to be using Amsterdam Titanium White to make the circle look like a portal. With that blue underneath that I'm pulling in as I expanded my circle, it is giving that effect. Now I'm going to do cut on some playing cards and use this Sorrel transfer paper to put my cards around the border. Now we are getting ready to use some Amsterdam Oxide Black to fill in the black spades and black clubs. Now I am using some Big Apple Prism Pour from colourarte to color in the diamonds and the hearts. Now I am using some golden maple watercolor that I had created to put a golden border. Now I am using Let's Resin Teal. Now you will see me use this in polyacrylic. I did test this before I put it on my canvas just to make sure it was going to work and be at the saturation level of paint that I wanted. This may be a no-no for some people, mixing resin pigments into polyacrylic, but it worked for me, so hey, I'm rolling with it. Now I'm going to throw in some Techno Rouge chameleon powder. This is the blue, cyan, and purple. Now I'm back to Let's Resin. I do believe this color is Mint. So I gave up on that color because I had spilled some resin and these jars had gotten into it. So this color will come into play a little later, but we are going to shift to a colourarte mineral Irish Meadow. Here is the color Chartreuse from colourarte. I did add a little bit of that to the Irish Meadow, and here you see me using a product called Space Beams. This is glow in the dark paint. And now you get to see the first effects of me taking on the grass and trying to give it that green glow when it's dark. Here I am going in to like give the clouds some popping. As you can see, I've used different colors of glow in my paints. This one is a green, a bright green, and then I've also used an Aqua from Space Beams. Now I am penciling in with my white chalk pencil the design that I want to outline and feature in this piece. Here we have some Grape from Let's Resin. I really did love how these pigments came out with putting them in polyacrylic. The coverage was good. It seemed to go on a lot smoother. I often struggle with acrylic paints on canvas because it seems to leave this translucent picture, and I have to go over it and over it and over it again and again. So right there you just saw me put in the mint. I told you earlier that we would be using this color later on because it didn't pan out the first time. I did end up putting some drops of Space Beams bright green in this to give the glow. For the purpose of the length of this video, I will not show mixing all of the colors. Good Lord, if I did that, we would be here for hours. As this painting took me several days to complete, I did it in stages, but there was many hours of video footage to go through to take this down into a 30-minute video. Now, dear ones, you're about to see the hookah smoking caterpillar unfold before your eyes. That was a very short caterpillar reveal. I apologize. I will go back into a lot of detail with the caterpillar once I have the basics down of the outline of the whole process. Here I'm using the golden maple watercolor again to fill in the mushrooms. Here we have Let's Resin Golden. And here we have Vivid Intense Carbon Black. I will be using this to outline and define some items in the painting. Here we have this little piggy, Techno. Adding a little bit of Space Beam Bright Green to brighten it up even more. Adding a little bit of this to the mushrooms to get it to glow. Color Arts Wild Vine, primary element. I will be adding this to the caterpillar to give him more definition, and I also will be using this for the grass pieces that will soon unfold. Adding in some fine details with the oxide black. Now I am doing some outlining to make the hookah glow. This is Space Beam's bright orange. I will also be using this bright orange a little bit on the mushroom, and depending on what color you're putting it up against, it could either look bright pink or bright orange. Now we're adding some Aqua from Space Beams under the mushrooms to illuminate a little bit underneath. Now we are getting ready to work on Alice. The green line division between the grass and the sky did end up showing behind the dried Arctic opal from colourarte. So in a little bit here, you will see me darken in Alice a little bit more and kind of transition her dress from a bluish purple to a light blue to try to hide those lines. Now I'm going in with some abalone shell. I didn't like the fact that she did not have her little apron on, so we had to fix that. Now I am dusting some white diamonds over the apron as the paint is still wet, so it's going to make the apron even brighter. Now I'm adding a little bit of champagne by Let's Resin to give her the peachish face. Adding some definition to her face. Now we are going to start her hair with TLP Techno, but it turned out a little too bright for me, so then I added in a little bit of honey by Purely Pigments, and it worked out. I think it's coming together nicely. Here I'm adding in the caterpillar smoke. Now I am adding a gold foil ring to the outside. Remember, if you like what you see here, like, share, subscribe. You can see I added a little bit of the green glow to the smoke. Now I am brushing off the excess gold foil. The next few shots that are upcoming is an outside shot of how big the piece is. Where my inspiration came from. And here's more of how it looks overall when the lights are off. Thank you for joining today. I really hope you enjoyed this piece.